Jennifer, thank you so much again for making up a little space in your agenda to meet with me. I actually wanted to talk a bit about, like, as I was telling you before, about your journey with Wize, pre-Wize, how this has impacted in your life and your business. Starting from your business, I would love to hear, when did you start your business and why was the reason that you started it?
Yeah, so I've got a story that is, everyone has a story. So if we go right back, left school at year 10, couldn't get out of school quick enough because no one could tell me what to do. I wanted to be my own boss and was very quickly into business at 17 and had an ice cream gelati van that I bought, and I sold ice creams along the river, and, a really fun thing that I did, and got into retail from there to hospitality, traveled a bit, found myself doing business management through a franchise system, Pizza Hut,
Okay.
and then went into ski fields at Mount Hotham, Queensland, like Victoria, for about 10 years there, and had my own businesses up there, restaurants and five-star restaurant, like a really fine dining restaurant. And just because one restaurant wasn't enough, I had two restaurants, another cafe as well. So that was where my business acronym and my business drive came from, and my passion for business. So from then, found a husband, children, so a little bit of time away from the business life. Then time traveled on a little bit, came to Mackay. Then my husband went from Mackay, which is in Queensland, and he ended up in Darwin, and I was left alone with two children. So at that point, it's like, well, what do? I'm on my own, two kids. I need to do something. So the only way out of poverty, and that's really where I was at the time, is you need to educate. So somehow I found myself at TAFE and then at university, and then did my accounting degree. During that time, and to put myself through that training, I don't really know how I did that. I sort of look back and go, it was pretty amazing, two young children, and to put yourself through full-time study and try and work. So I cleaned houses and I did what it took to have enough money to be on the table. Through that time, I met, one of my cleaning clients, said, why don't you do some books for me? So from that, it built so I started from my house. I was doing people's books. It turned into a bookkeeping practice, and that's where Accountant Ready Services was born. So that's my bookkeeping practice. And then that bookkeeping practice for about 10 years, I used to make a lot of accountants really rich. I used to refer all of the accounting work to accountants, and I went, this is really crazy. Like, I just give away so many clients to accountants, and I went, and then the TaxStore
entrepreneur brain there.
And I just went, this is crazy. Like, and a lot of them wouldn't even really say thank you for that. They just took the clients and, oh, thanks, Jen's giving me another one. There's another $5,000 out the door. Anyway, so the TaxStore franchise opportunity came up, and I sort of jumped at that opportunity about 6 years ago. And then I ended up with two practices, but they worked in collaboration, that you didn't have to be one client or the other. I probably cried for the first 2 years of taking on that franchise. It was traumatic. I've gone, what was I thinking? I can't do this. So it was a horrible experience. And then, I couldn't even go into my office. Yeah, it was just a lot to take on tax as well as bookkeeping and try and keep the balance. And I was still doing all of the work. And then I was to do all the tax work and by myself. And then, a couple of bookkeepers. And then I had to employ an accountant, but I couldn't afford an accountant. So I had to sacrifice my wage for a while. So then that fast forward sort of, I think it's about 5-6 years into the TaxStore. Basically, it was crawling my way. And by the time the Wize came around, it's interesting, the Wize story. I've known Ed Chan back 20 years ago. His company, Chan and Naylor, did my tax return when I was doing some business dealings with properties and stuff like that. So his company, Ian Cito was my accountant. It's amazing. So I've been to a few events, and I'd been to the Pymble office and met Ed. He probably wouldn't remember me, but anyway, I'd met Ed and Jamie Johns. So Jamie with Sky, somehow through media marketing, whatever, I used to rip off his newsletter all the time and use all the information out of the newsletter to help feed to my clients. I would take it, obviously I would change it around a bit, but he had this great newsletter, So I've known about Sky for a really long time. So that's 2 out of 3. And Brenton just happens to come from Bakers Creek, which is just down the road from where I live, like less than an hour.
I immediately thought, I know she's from Brisbane as well. I know they're from Queensland, but maybe it's a huge state. I mean, there's no relation, but look at that.
The 3 wise men.
Somehow they all connected to you in different times.
It's the universe bringing us together.
Yeah.
This is my dream. So see how my motivation is. I don't even feel like it's a motivation. I don't feel like it's work. I feel like it's a destiny, which is, it seems bizarre. That's why I'm so into it, because look at my whole life has come. It's like almost my whole life has come to this, and I've had the journey. So the Wize journey, I think, I don't even really know. I think it's about a year now I've been in the program. But what happened was, so financially for me to be able to afford the program, the growth program, to jump from Pulse, I jumped into Pulse. So I was in Pulse. To go from Pulse to Wize, that investment of a couple of $1,000s a month, I thought that's out of my reach. Like that,
far away.
It's too far away. But I was lucky enough to get a grant opportunity through COVID grants. So I received a grant of $15,000. I haven't actually got the money yet. I've been doing the course. The grant money's coming for the first year. Well, that's going to offset more than half of the investment. And I go, even if I just do 1 year, but I was thinking that if I did, I know I wanted to be committed for 2, because you can see this program is not McDonald's. It's not instant. It's work. It's every day. It's like you need to be on point. If you're not in, forget it. If you're not going to do the work every day, don't bother. Don't waste everybody's time. Don't waste the mentor's time. Don't waste the time. Like, if you really want change, and I was going to die if I didn't do something. And I don't mean that flippant way. I mean that literally. My health would have been completely shot, or I would have quit my businesses completely, because I was right at that shitty point of that 500, 400, 600,000, where it's just like, I cannot do it for brute force anymore. I just can't. So Wize came and have taken that load from me and have shown me a path that I can now grow and learn through. And I am growing and learning through, and I'm going to get a bit emotional.
Go ahead. You're sharing amazing stuff.
It's something that it's not easy. And I was just listening to one of the ladies in the other group, and I can just see, I feel her pain. And you know what? Time is so precious. I want to bring the time in here. Our time is something that nobody can change. Everybody gets the same amount of time, but it's what we choose to do with that every day. And so now I do not want to see, how cool would it be? And I have a take on Ed's vision of, if you just change one accountant at a time, if you show one accountant at a time that there's a better way and a better life, that ripple effect, that we can be change agents of the world. So the work that we're doing, the work that Wize is doing, is work for the world. It's not just work for accountants. The ripple effect, because we as accountants and our practices affect so many lives, our team's lives, our team's families, our clients' lives, and oh my goodness, their families. Like, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. That in itself is what a beautiful memories to leave, and it's a beautiful legacy that I can be a part of, because that's what brings me joy. So the money doesn't matter so much to me. That's not my driver, and that's a mindset thing. Money is definitely important, and I never thought that I would be taking or looking at taking my business to a higher level. It's funny, they have the rooms and they go, are you under $1 million or over $1 million? I go, I just want to go to that over $1 million one. What do they do in there? Like, what's different in there?
Let's talk.
It's like sometimes I sneak in there, sometimes I pretend. I go, well, I'm just doing the rule of 33. I'm just going up a level. So I want to be up there.
You know too much, Jennifer. You've hacked yourself into the Wize program, really. You're getting more than anyone's getting out of this program. I am 100% sure.
Seriously. It is like the value to me. And I can literally save my life. Like, my husband would tell you the same. My children will tell you the same. Even though this morning I still got up at 3:30 this morning. I don't do that every morning. I'd probably do that a few too many mornings. But I know that I have more time for myself and my family. And that's what Wize has given me. And that's what's most important. And I know that the deep and narrow teams that I'm building, the leadership training that we're doing within our group, and all of that every day, step by step, one thing at a time. And it's not even really one percenters, like there's lots of things going on. It is 100% guarantees that you will have success. Like there is no way you can fail. None. Do the work, do the 1%ers, and you're guaranteed success. So who wouldn't want a program like that? Like it doesn't matter what it costs. Nobody cannot afford to do it if you are a sole practitioner, because if you don't learn that there is another way, that there is the deep and narrow teams, there is putting the right people in the bus. Like it's just like, it's so cool that you just listen to the same messages over and over again, because then they become within you, and then that is who you become.
Yeah.
And what we want to become is we want to be free from our business. So my plan is, this is my hope. So I'm going to turn 59 in October. I'm going to have a year of celebration.
Oh, I love
because
that.
it's my 60th year. So in that year, I am going to be able to travel to the outback and help some farmers in Australia. And I am still going to have my business, and my business is still going to run without me, because I'm still going to be able to check in and do my huddles in the morning, do my things, do a client call here, there, or whatever. Or at that point, I might even be a Wize mentor. And so I go, that's my dream now, so that I have freed myself up enough that I've got the right people in the right place in the bus. The teams are working together. And what's really important, our no blame culture, that has been one of the biggest inputs that we've had. I'm blessed that my practice is youthful, so I don't have a lot of legacy accountants. My heart goes out to accounting firms that are like 20 years old and 30 years old, because the culture in those firms can be very toxic, and that would be like almost an insurmountable challenge to change. So that's where I'm lucky. My practice is young enough that we've just, grown over the last 3 or 4 years. So now we have a team of 11 that we've workshopped a no blame culture. We all know what that is. I live it, I breathe it. And now what we're working on is our leadership, to make sure our people that are in the leadership people, that they learn and build on those skills. Anyway, that's my story, Claudia. I know it's a lot.
No, but I love that. It's perfect from start to finish. It's more than I expected to hear. Really, you are a gem, Jennifer, and everything that you shared with me is amazing. I thank you so much for everything that you share. It's exactly even more than I wanted to hear. I appreciate it so much. And from what you were saying, I loved something that you said that really stuck with me when you said, because we are agents of change, and you mentioned you put yourself in that group. And I do agree.
Yep.
You know that if you are living by the rule of 33%, there are many people that you might not look around and you don't see them looking at you, but they might look up to you, Jennifer. They might see your trail and say, wow, this woman has accomplished so much. And maybe you don't even know it, but you are also in the wise sphere, somehow helping others. So it's truly very powerful, everything that you share with me. Really, I'm glad I recorded everything,
because I knew I couldn't do that again. Not that we even planned it, but I knew I had something in my heart that I really wanted to say. And isn't it amazing, if you go and do a presentation or whatever, I say it wouldn't come out the same way. Do you know what I mean? Because it comes out just as a conversation.
That's exactly what I wanted to add. If you had rehearsed this, it probably wouldn't have been as powerful and amazing. Truly.
Thank you.
You outdid yourself, really. And thank you so much for sharing. There are people I feel like you've gotten every single stage, what you were saying, the deep and narrow teams, the mindset shift, what you were saying with firms that have 30 years going on, they will hardly get or will be more resistant to the change that it takes to think differently, to no blame, to don't blame others, to then no bypassing, to everything that it takes.
And it's the tech stack. So that's the other biggest thing for me. That's the other biggest shift, is building the right tech stack. That Wize can give you those tools of, here is what we use, this is what we do. And I'm very blessed that I've got Zach in our quality division 4, that he's helping build out that tech stack, and he loves Zapier, and we're doing some amazing stuff to keep our client communication. Whenever we win a new client now, one of the questions we ask, and we go, well, what happened with your last account? Why are you leaving? Number one thing, they don't communicate with us. They don't return my calls. So I go, Wize is, if you don't return a client's call, I'm going to sack. No. But it's, it's a warning. It is serious. So in orientation, we talk it. It's like everybody knows. And I'm looking, has that been returned? Because I want that in their DNA. That has to be in your DNA. The TaxStore has the tagline, simple, smart solutions. Wize is that. It's a simple, smart solutions. They have simple applications. Simple. It's easy. No blame culture. Build your tech stack right. It's those 1, 2, 3. Just do one thing at a time. That's it. And then you can't not be successful. And the investment is an underinvestment because of like the value, really. Like if you look at the dollar people will go, oh, can't, nah, that's just out of my league. Some people would. Or they've got a lot of money and they don't value the course enough to actually do the work. And I guess that's sort of the difference. That's what I see as being the difference between being a successful Wize member or not, or a sort of, like where are you on the spectrum? Here, or here, I'm sort of half in. I want my staff to do it because I want to abdicate it. I don't want to delegate it. Do you know what I mean? I'll just give it to them. They can do that for me. I can sit back and I can reap the benefit. That's a slow grind.
And that's exactly why we're doing this. We really want what you just explained. You hit the nail right on the head, because this is exactly what we want to get out of the Wize Factor people, because we do think that you've understood this like from A to Z, which is the greatest thing that I could find today. Do this. I kind of
knew you, Claudia.
You were a great member, but you've understood everything so well, and I'm so happy I found you today and that we were able to make it. But yeah, in the sense that we are trying to look for more people who are exactly in the middle, because you just said there's people who are not committed enough but have the money, and then the other ones who don't have the money but won't actually be able to see the value because they're just too focused on how much
stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck. So
they're stuck for time. They're in overwhelm, right? So the grant for me was the tipping factor. Maybe actually, no, I'm going to rewind that. The grant was an important part of, sometimes I don't give myself enough credit. Yeah, I remember now, because it's funny. You forget about the small decisions and the small turning point. I went, I'm going to pay for this personally out of my own money for a year and not through the business, because I didn't think the business could sustain the amount. I remember now that I had already made the decision that I was going to do. I just had to tell my husband that.
Exactly.
That I was going to do. And he would never have not said, don't invest in yourself, because I was saying, this is an investment in me, because otherwise I can't do this anymore. I need the experts to hold my hand and walk with me through the journey. And that's what we do. We walk together.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. I would love to hear a wisdom word for you to wrap up. I don't want to take more of your time, but this has been amazing. Really, I enjoyed from start to finish. So thank you. But before you go, I would like to get a wisdom word from you, something that really inspires you and that you would like to share with someone who sees you and who sees your journey.
It's all about knowledge is power. That's been my tagline. Knowledge is power. And you just, determination. So there's another saying that discipline equals freedom. That is my other really wisdom stuff, my words that I use. So knowledge is power. So you have to educate to find your way out. And that's what Wize brings, is the education. And discipline equals freedom. So it's getting up every day and doing the work, because it's not going to happen if you don't do the work.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you so much.